Welcome back to another episode of the Marketing Quacks podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Dozer, and if you're new to the show, the mission here is to expose the quacks and gimmicks in the marketing industry while featuring some great marketers and entrepreneurs along the way. On this episode, I'm really excited to have on Alan Casanelli. Sorry if I butchered that last name there, but Alan is the marketing lead at Blaze AI and has years of experience in the marketing and AI world. So Alan, thank you so much for joining the show.
Thanks for having me. And no, you nailed it.
Perfect. Well, let's just do a quick background on kind of who you are and what you're doing with Blaze AI.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm on the marketing team here at Blaze. I've been a marketer for over 15 years. Started out doing sports marketing, some e-commerce, but in the past 8 or so years have been in technology startups. And a lot of those startups have been doing marketing to other marketers. So Blaze is kind of a good fit. At Blaze, we sell to both marketers, but also non-marketers who need to do marketing. So that's a lot of small business owners, entrepreneurs, freelancers, and kind of teams of one.
So first of all, I guess, what is Blaze AI, right? To someone who maybe sees your website or is brand new to this tool, what would you say makes Blaze, I guess, one of the best out there? There's so many of these AI SaaS tools floating around right now. What separates Blaze?
Totally, yeah. So Blaze is a marketing AI tool specifically made for those small business owners and entrepreneurs and teams of one, the people that need to do all this marketing. And so with Blaze, we kind of help them through that whole process of brainstorming content, creating content, editing it, whether by themselves with the help of collaborators or with the help of AI, publishing that, and then analyzing that as well. So we kind of do that full life cycle and are really optimized for those small business owners and entrepreneurs and those people that need a lot of that help and are not as focused on the bigger marketing teams like other competitors in our space like Jasper and Copy AI, or really feel like are selling to more enterprise up level, teams of 20, 50, 100. They have kind of different needs than what we're trying to help with our customer base.
And when you reached out to me, so I did a video review for those listening that didn't know. I think it's still ranking 1 on Google and YouTube. It's done pretty well over the past 2 weeks. And the very first thing that I noticed about Blaze AI is that I was diving in. I referred to it kind of like a Swiss Army knife, almost for solopreneurs, right? It's a mix of Canva, ChatGPT, Hootsuite, Sprout Social with the social media management. That's kind of how I defined it when I was diving in for the first time.
Yeah, totally. I think we definitely, part of our value prop is to those small business owners is that you can replace a lot of those disparate tools where you're having to go from, this Chrome browser to this
all in
tab,
one solution
to this tool, all in kind of one place. And it really simplifies that because, that kind of context switching and ChatGPT is great. I love that, but you can't edit stuff in ChatGPT. You have to bring that into like a Google Docs or Notion or something like that. And then maybe you want to collaborate with somebody. Maybe you want to get feedback on you might be a team of one, but you might still have a boss who you're reporting to who needs to approve your content. And then you need to publish that content onto those social platforms or on your mobile device. And so Blaze kind of simplifies that whole process and kind of brings it all in one tool.
I want to talk about some of your marketing strategies now. That was the first time I actually heard about Blaze. Was I went onto your site and your remarketing pixels were following me around, and I kept seeing those videos on Instagram or TikTok. It was like, stop using ChatGPT, use this secret AI tool instead, right? One hell of a hook, in my opinion, right? So talk about your marketing from a tactical standpoint.
Yeah, we are. It's very much like a consumer application. So we are on all these, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and have been really successful in leveraging user-generated content and working with influencers to get our product out there and kind of tell people and differentiate it from those other AI tools. One of the ways that we really differentiate that you can see on our website is with our branding. So we have this kind of comic book superhero branding. When we launched about a year and a half ago, we started out with this very 1950s, old school Spider-Man comic book branding. Now we've kind of moved into a new decade of 1970s, 1980s. So there's a little bit more, 80s hairstyles, there's some glam, but there's still kind of that retro futurism. And that's one of the things that we really just wanted to, differentiate our product in the market, because there's so many, like you mentioned, AI tools that's, robot, their branding is all robots and like, robot is doing everything for you. And we really wanted to, with our product, make our customers the hero of the story. That's why we love the superhero metaphor, is that when a, person who is a real estate agent is, creating all this content, they can feel like a superhero because they're using Blaze and they're using AI. And so it really, we feel like it really works well. We've heard from our customers, I would say a majority like it. There's, a small percentage that don't like it, but I think you really need to, especially with marketing and branding, you need to find something that people love. And
I'll tell you this.
your brand makes such a huge difference. We've had customers tell me that they said, I feel like the content that I create in Blaze is more human because Blaze's brand is more human. We're talking with small business owners, people who run like lawn care companies, and they are not like San Francisco AI tech people. These are just regular people. That's one of the parts I love about my job, is kind of I get to talk to all these people. I talked to somebody yesterday who owns like a drone operating company in El Paso, and he was saying how Blaze, he's been with Blaze for a year and a half, and his business has tripled since then because he's been creating content with Blaze, and it's allowed him new revenue opportunities because he's getting all this, website traffic from these blog posts that he's created, and he was just like thrilled with it. And that's kind of the best part of my job as a marketer, is create a product, sell a product that helps everyday people and grow small businesses. Like there's nothing else that you could really ask for.
Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but that was going to be my next question about the branding side of it. Because when I first went to Blaze AI, right, I'm a marketer. And I'm going to be honest, Alan, I've tested probably 50 plus AI SaaS tools at this point. So when I see Blaze AI in my head, I'm like, look at all this gimmicky marketing. What are they trying to sell me here? It's an AI wrapper. But when I actually went into the tool, there was a lot more than what your traditional AI SaaS tool could accomplish. I want to give you guys kudos for actually delivering on all the stuff that you're saying versus all the other tools who just overpromise and underdeliver.
Totally. And I think that, a lot of the robustness of our platform really comes from our previous product. So Blaze is the kind of the second product from our previous, within our company. Our previous product was Almanac, which was a remote collaboration kind of wiki tool. And so from that product, we had created this document editor. It was kind of like GitHub for docs, where you could branch and merge documents. And so from that product, we really created this really strong foundation of this super powerful document editor that has all those things that you would expect. So real-time document editing, tracking changes, history, embeds, um, comments, tasks. And that product was kind of the basis of what Blaze was born out of. And so when you go into Blaze, you are really getting this tool that's on par with like a Google Docs in terms of a editing and collaborating feature set. Whereas a lot of those other AI tools in the market right now, they grab the OpenAI API and put it into like, the simplest text editor that you can. And, that's not a hard thing to do. Doing track changes on a real-time document editor, it's like a very engineering complex product. And so I think that's one of the strengths of Blaze, is it really has this robust editing platform in it. And then we've now added a visual designer editor into it too, not on par with Canva, but we're trying to get to Canva's level, because Canva is an amazing tool as it is.
Yeah, Jasper or Jarvis back in the day, right? That sounds old school now. That was kind of the pioneer in this AI SaaS business model before it was like GPT-2 or whatever the model was they were using behind the scenes. I was
Yeah.
going to ask you something related to your branding next. So, gamification, right? I noticed that's one thing that you guys use quite a bit. And I know Robinhood's marketing is notorious for this, right? Every time you buy a stock, confetti pops off. So, similar to what Blaze AI and what you guys do, I noticed like a superhero card. You have a Blaze Academy, right? Making sort of a gamification in your marketing and inside the platform. How did that idea transpire?
Yeah, our brand, we really didn't want it to be just like surface level of like, hey, we got a cool website designer who put it on the website. We wanted it to be throughout the entire product and was as well as like our emails too. So I created our first kind of onboarding emails. And our first onboarding emails weren't text at all. It was a comic book strip about somebody discovering Blaze. And we just wanted to take that brand because we really feel like brand is one of those differentiating factors as we compete in the market that really helps set us apart. So we wanted to bring that brand and that gamification throughout the entire thing. It hasn't all been success. We have, we tried to take a Duolingo approach where, Duolingo has like these streaks and rewards for using the app each day. We tried that 6 months ago, didn't really work. So we're still, we're definitely not perfect. We're still playing around with it, but want to, make this, we kind of AI feels like magic to a lot of people, and especially small business owners who are just like blown away by this. And so we kind of want to bring that AI, that magic feeling across the entire experience. So that's where kind of bringing in the brand and the gamification and the superhero theme all the way throughout that whole experience.
Yeah, very. I mean, it's very well done, and I noted that on my video review of your platform as well. One thing I was going to ask, without you guys spilling the secret sauce, so to say, are there any other big updates that we can expect coming out of Blaze in the near future?
Yeah, so we started out really as this really powerful document editor, text-based content, and then the past 6 months we've launched our designer, which is really allows you to create visual content in Blaze. And the next step is video content. Video is like probably the number one thing on all your social media algorithms. They're pushing that. So more video editing functionality is coming towards Blaze, as well as a lot of those integrations to streamline those workflows so that you can publish that content to TikTok, to YouTube, to Pinterest, to Webflow or Squarespace, and just make that process simpler. Because we kind of think of that brainstorm, create, edit, publish, analyze, that kind of like wheel of what you keep doing. And we want to reduce the friction at each of those points.
Yeah, if you guys get the technology that an Opus Clip is using to repurpose those long form videos to short clips and integrate that within Blaze, I would be sold. I'd be all in, right? Because I'm looking for like a complete all in one content solution. Blaze does really good for text based content, but it's still missing that video component, like you touched on, like an Opus Clip, for example, excels at right now.
Right. Yeah. That is probably the number one feature request that we hear from our customers. Yeah. So we're going to build it. We're going to go for it and build that into Blaze. So yeah, you don't need to use 7 different AI tools. I mean, it's amazing that there are all of these different AI tools out there. But for a small business owner, marketer, entrepreneur, you don't want 10 different subscriptions and things change and there's overlaps. Like we feel like, kind of bringing that all into one tool really makes it faster. And you also kind of get those efficiencies where, hey, if this content you're publishing it from Blaze, we bring that analytics into Blaze. And then you can say, hey, let's create more content like that. Let's repurpose that content into other formats because it performs so well on Instagram. Let's send out a newsletter, using that. Let's put that on Pinterest. Let's do a Twitter thread about that. So I think there's a lot of efficiencies and just makes that much faster when it's all in kind of one space.
Yeah, for sure. And I know agents, right? AI agents is the next big buzzword here in
Yeah.
2025. In terms of like content creation, what are some big AI trends that you're seeing for this year and beyond?
Yeah, you mentioned the word AI agents, which I feel like is my hot take is that like nobody's actually going to use an AI agent. It's just going to be software. Like people aren't going to think of that. I mean, we do have our customers right now say, like, I think of Blaze as this virtual marketer on my team. I'm a team of one and I work with Blaze. Blaze is my unpaid intern to create that content. So, I think there's a lot of people that are like, agent makes it feel like it's a real person and it's doing things for you. I think that's probably going to come just be built into software like Blaze, where Blaze is not only helping you just create that content, but it's going to be sending you ideas. where I could see in the future where every Monday you get 5 ideas, from Blaze or other AI tools, where it's giving you the ideas, and you say, I like this one, I don't like this one, I like that one, go and do it for me. That kind of feels like an AI agent, but it's not this like person. I feel like a lot of the AI agent branding makes it feel like it's different than software, when I feel like it's just going to be built into the software that we're already using.
I agree
I
with
don't
you.
know
And
if
there's
that
so
answered your
much,
question, but that's
yeah,
my
there's so much clickbait going on right now when it comes to AI agents where people think that I can just hand off these tasks no matter what the task is and the agent's just going to do it. I don't think we're there yet. Maybe when a model like O3 becomes available to the public and OpenAI's advanced ones, maybe, but I just don't see that happening at least this year.
Yeah, it's I'm super excited, about those at advancements in technology. I feel like my brain can't even think about, if the AI agent, quote unquote, or just the software is just like watching my screen and watching what I'm doing, and then like optimizing for me or doing things for me. That, like, it's hard to comprehend software doing that, but it's probably, if I go back to the start of my career in marketing, I couldn't comprehend just like, within like, 2 minutes drafting a blog post. Like the transformation and the movement of technology has accelerated so much. It's hard to envision what those are going to be doing in 1 year, if not, 5 years.
I remember when I started using Jarvis for the first time and I was like, "Oh my god." I was like, "This is where this is going." It was like, "Oh wow." Then I knew something was better things were yet to come when I started using that. So
Yeah.
what I want to ask you now, Alan, I guess internally, I'm assuming you're using Blaze AI, of course, but what are some other AI tools that you kind of have in your tool stack there?
Yeah, yeah. I love ChatGPT, and I actually use ChatGPT the voice mode on my phone a lot. So I do my morning walk with my dog, and right now I am in a season of creating and not consuming as much. So not listening to podcasts, but creating content. So I'm talking to ChatGPT and coming up with ideas of what I want to post on LinkedIn or what emails I'm going to send that day. So I really feel like voice is underrated right now in AI. I'm also using this tool to do it on my computer. It's called Whisper Flow, where it's basically just transcribing the text that I'm giving it, but it's also kind of cleaning up all those polishes. It's kind of doing that polishing where if you do it, just with your iOS, microphone, it says word for word exactly what you say. And this Whisper Flow tool, which is really cool, cleans it up and removes some of those ums and pauses and stuff like that. So it's allowed me. I'm using it in Blaze. It's platform agnostic, so you can use it in emails in Blaze. I'm using it in Slack to give feedback to people, and I just find talking 10 times faster than actually writing. So I've been advocating to build in more voice stuff into Blaze, but I think for anybody who's listening, trying talking to ChatGPT and using it as your kind of transcriber, but then also pulling in all those concepts together. I can say, ChatGPT will help me write a LinkedIn post or some content, and I can say, actually, didn't love that ending, or give me a new hook at the beginning. And so I've been really enjoying that.
Yeah, I've been using advanced voice mode a little bit too. I think the biggest thing for me, at least, is if I'm traveling somewhere, the real time language translation, not only that, but also it can do it in voices that sound relevant to whatever city or region you're in. I think the fact that that's a thing right now, I think a lot of people can't comprehend.
Yeah, I haven't tried that, but I definitely want to. Yeah, it's pretty mind blowing, the translation stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So I want to talk about marketing quacks now, Alan. This is the Marketing Quacks podcast after all. So
Yeah.
what are some marketing tricks and gimmicks, I guess, that you have seen other people do in your space of AI SaaS or just content creation in general?
Yeah, one of the things that really helped us get our first 100 customers was social listening, that and listening on different platforms. So Reddit, I feel like, is one of the most like underrated social networks that marketers just gloss over time and time again. And it's just a gold mine of information and activity there. So one of the things that I did, especially when we were just launching, I use this tool called, I think it's like siftin.com, which you can do basically social listening on Reddit for specific keywords. So I put in the keywords of our competitors, Jasper and Copy AI, and whenever anybody was mentioning them, it sends me alert in Slack. So then I can see, hey, this thread is talking about what's a cool new AI tool. So I could hop in there and really organic and naturally promote my product and talk about my product. And the best thing was that all that is being fed to me. I'm not having to go out and seek that. Similarly, I'm in like a bunch of marketing Slack communities to learn from other marketers. Well, I think an unknown thing in Slack is that you can set up keyword alerts in Slack as well. So I had keyword alerts for all these competitors. So whenever people are saying like, "Hey, I'm using Jasper. What else should I look at?" I was able to hop into those conversations really organically and say, "Hey, check us out too. We're built for these specific people." So that was a really I'd say like an underrated tactic that a lot of people. There's a lot of noise on Twitter. Twitter's almost too noisy nowadays, but LinkedIn, but Reddit is feel like this untapped source that more marketers should be looking into.
Every time I'm on X or LinkedIn, I feel like I'm behind every time I scroll through my feed and see what's going on. But I said marketing quacks. I think you kind of confused what I was asking there. So
Oh,
basically, a quack or a gimmick, right? So in the SaaS world, a huge gimmick for me is SaaS tools that make it impossible to cancel a subscription. They'll ask you for your social security number, they'll make it
yeah.
impossible. And I said, just cancel it. You know what I mean? Like, so that's a gimmick, right? What would be one of those for you?
One that I've seen in the market.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, let me think. Like, I
I mean,
mean,
most of them overpromise and underdeliver, right? They say they're like this complete solution to ChatGPT Plus, but it's $50 a month and you get less usage versus a $20 a month ChatGPT Plus subscription. That's a gimmick too, right? Things like that.
yeah, you know what? Especially when ChatGPT first came out, there was a lot of like almost like spoofing of like especially in the iOS app store, where I told
Oh,
my
yeah.
mom, I was like, hey, go download ChatGPT, and she downloaded this other thing that was advertising in front of ChatGPT that was promised more, cost more, and wasn't the actual thing. And so stuff like that, I hate when it's just trying to take advantage of somebody else's brand, and just like that, trying to miniature arbitrage on paid spend like
The
that.
amount of effort that would go into something like that, it'd also be very short lived until you get a cease and desist letter, you know?
Right, totally.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, this has been fun, Alan. I appreciate you hopping on here. Any final notes that you had just from everything we talked about from Blaze AI, AI SaaS world, content creation, anything like that that you want to leave our listeners with here?
Yeah, I think I've been playing around with lots of different tools. So I primarily use ChatGPT. I mostly use Blaze, our own tool, but Perplexity as well. And I think sometimes people get caught up in comparing. I don't know. It depends on what type of person you are. I am not the one who wants to compare different models and like the little tweaks. To me, it feels like cooking with like different pans. It's like, oh, I've got this carbon fiber pan and this hex plan, and sometimes you just need to use like a good cast iron pan. It's going to work, and so I'm an advocate of like finding something that you like and going with it, and like cast iron, you can season it with your prompts and improve it that way. But I think it kind of depends on the person. There's some people. I think you're probably a person who loves tinkering with the new types, or maybe like more of a closer to like an engineering type mindset. And I kind of want to simplify it for myself, and like, all right, you're just going to commit to ChatGPT and Blaze, and like let's figure out how to use the most of these platforms. So with anybody listening, I think don't feel like that you have to know the differences between all the models. I work in marketing and AI, and I couldn't tell you the difference between them. So I think there's different approaches for different people.
admittedly, I get caught up in this, right? It's the shiny object syndrome of
Yeah.
AI. A new model comes out, a new AI tool comes out. Oh my God, I got to check this out, check that out. But it might even be marginally better than what's already exists. So it's like I wasted all that time checking this out when now I'm right back to ChatGPT Plus, right? So I completely agree with you. So Alan, where can people follow you online to learn more about Blaze and what you're doing?
Yeah, you can visit us at blaze.ai is our website. Right now, I'm hosting a daily webinar to teach people how to use Blaze. So definitely sign up for that. And you can also check me out on LinkedIn. That's where I'm posting the most. Alan Casanelli. You can find my link in the show notes, I'm sure.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll leave all that in below. I'll probably use my Blaze affiliate link, but we'll see about that. But Alan,
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining this episode of the Marketing Quacks podcast. It's an honor to have you on, and thank you so much to everyone for listening to this episode. Be sure to tune in again next time.
Thanks, Ryan.